Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Civil Gore Podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And this is Brian. And hopefully you have nothing to do today other than listen to Dismemberment. I mean, it's not like it's a holiday, right? I mean,
that's right. Well, I already got my July 4th celebration in. We had a big cookout yesterday, had about 20 people over, and had burgers and hot dogs, and could not play games because it was so hot here.
Oh,
it's like in the 90s. Like nobody even wanted to go outside, but we still had a good time.
Yeah, we did the same thing yesterday. We did all our burgers and cookout stuff like yesterday. So it's just easier to do it on a Sunday, and to relax. But it was hot, so we went into the pool for a little bit. It's actually hotter today, and we may go in there later. But we needed to get this. We need to get this Dismemberment out. We're gonna, even though we tried to do such a succinct summer slaycation, things may get pushed around a little bit due to some unforeseen issues, but either way, it'll still be probably one of our earliest ones to finish. Even with a week or two missed, possibly. So
bear with us as we took a break from our regular episode this week, but we're at least getting to use some content in the form of this July Dismemberment, which is not going to be very long because July, traditionally, the summer months tend to be very weak on horror releases.
Yeah,
in terms of Blu-rays, so we'll see that start picking up towards the fall, especially around October time.
Oh yeah, well, so yeah, usually the last week of August and September and into October are the big ones. I can't believe we're already talking about going into that already, but
I know it's
closer
crazy
than you think. I mean, it's like June went by really fast somehow.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah, and July already. I mean, like literally, it's July. I feel like it just hit July and it's July 3rd already. It's like this first week of July is gonna go fast. So, yeah.
All right,
lots of stuff.
Kind of a representation of this entire month. Our week of July 4th only released one title. I think this is the first time, possibly the first time in Dismemberment history, we've only had one title.
Yeah. So it was a very easy pick of the week to make.
Yeah, very easy pick of the week. And it would have been my pick of the week anyway, probably, because this is one I actually want to pick up to go with my 4K edition of the first film. And this is Jaws 2, the 4K 45th Anniversary Edition from 1978, and this is being put out by Universal Studios. Description here is: another giant great white shark terrorizes beachgoers in this sequel to Steven Spielberg's summer blockbuster. Pretty good sequel. I actually like Jaws 2 quite a bit.
Yeah, Jaws 2 gets a bad rap sometimes. I see it. I mean, but I think more so. I think it's because the first one is like near perfection. So it's like you're not going to ever replicate that over and over again when you do sequels. And same thing when you get into Jaws 3, people bash, but I actually love Jaws 3 just because of the whole like theme park element to it. Jaws 4 is where I'll jump in with everybody and kind of say, okay, it just really did not need to be made. I mean,
unfortunately, I think that Jaws 3 and 4 probably colored people's perceptions of Jaws 2 because they just kind of lump all the sequels together. But Jaws 2 is actually a pretty darn good standalone sequel. I don't know what the reception was when it came out, but I remember when I first watched it, I actually loved it. I thought it was, it's not going to be Jaws, but it was still pretty entertaining.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know what it is? It managed to capture, I mean, the majority of of what you loved about the first one. You did lose two very popular characters that did not come back in the second. I mean, one for obvious reasons,
right?
And two just because I guess probably at that point, like he had moved on from that movie. He didn't. Well, Richard Dreyfuss already said, right? He hated his performance in Jaws until like years later. I just saw something on that where I think he like hated his performance until years later when he watched it again. And then I think he was okay with it or something. But I mean, we big Richard Dreyfuss fans. I thought he did great in the first one, I think without him being in it, without Quint, of course, for obvious reasons, why he was not in the second one, I think you lost a little bit of that. Maybe the killer dialogue. There was some great dialogue in the original Jaws that they could not replicate in the second one. Probably was the. But I mean, like you, I'm still a big fan of the thing. I mean, I really like all of them except Jaws Revenge. That's a tough rewatch for me.
Yeah, that one's hard.
I'll eventually own it. I'll eventually own it just because I want the complete set. And I'm just afraid that, and I'm still, I mean, granted, they've made a million, like, fake clones of it, but I'm worried for the day they really try and actually remake the original Jaws, because that just will be, I cannot imagine it being anything worth watching.
Yeah. This one has some good special features, though. It was previously restored in 4K. Has deleted scenes, making of Jaws 2, Jaws 2, A Portrait by actor Keith Gordon, John Williams, the music of Jaws 2, and the French Joke featurette, storyboards, and theatrical trailers.
I wonder what the French joke is.
I know, that's what I was wondering too. I'm sure it's something in the movie that I've forgotten, but that's it for July 4th. Jaws 2, that's the only thing you're getting. So if you're bored with cookouts and hamburgers, go to the store and grab you some Jaws 2.
Yeah, I mean, and that is a good day for it to come out, because obviously Jaws,
it's associated with weekend. Summer and beach, yeah.
And I mean, specifically 4th of July, the first one. I can't remember. The second one happened at 1 year later exactly. I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I have to rewatch Jaws too. I mean, I have the regular version of it, but I'd like to get this. I would double dip this one to have a nice.
I don't have Jaws. I don't think I have Jaws 2, honestly.
Yeah,
so this would be a perfect.
Yeah, I have the first release of it, which is still a decent version. It's just not like. Doesn't have the 4K upgrade, which I might as well get since I have the first. Yeah, it's in 4K. But
all right, well, bringing us to July 11th, we have a few more titles. We're going to skip the first one because that is our pick of the week. But the second one up here is Beau is Afraid. This is a movie I really wanted to see that came out this year. It's being put out by Lionsgate. Following the sudden death of his mother, a mild-mannered but anxiety-ridden man confronts his darkest fears as he embarks on an epic, Kafkaesque odyssey back home.
Yeah, this is really bizarre looking, this trailer. I mean, it's got Joaquin Phoenix in it, so you already know you're gonna get that something odd in there. But it also has, of course, our favorite Miss Parker Posey. So yeah, and I actually, this movie, from what I understand, is like very, very odd. You know what's funny though? From the trailer, I don't see the horror element as much.
I've heard people. Yeah, I'm interested to see it because. There's different people that say, well, this isn't really a horror movie. And some people, it's one of those kind of movies. It's hard to classify, I think. So
yeah. Then again, I've seen, some people I feel like they don't get what the horror is. So they don't call, like I actually saw people were saying Old, they didn't think was a horror movie. And I thought that was extremely horrific if you think about what the elements of it is, and like, so everyone has their own, I guess, opinion of what terrifies them, but that's what's so great about horror, though. Yeah. Next one, though, that one is a fun, good old classic horror sci-fi one, and that's Invaders from Mars, 4K from 1953. This one's from Ignite Films. I think this might be a first for Ignite Films. I don't.
Yeah, this one was put out, I think, kind of independently, but I've got a story about it after you finish the synopsis. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a decent-sized synopsis here. It says, one night, young David McLean sees a spaceship crash into a nearby sandpit. His father goes to investigate, but comes back changed. Where once he was cheerful and affectionate, he is now sullen and snarlingly rude. I like that. I want to be known as that.
Snarlingly rude.
Snarlingly rude. Not just rude, but like snarling. And it's funny, in the trailer for it, you see an example of that because he really yells at his son because his son questions something he says. It's kind of... So there was definitely an extra snarl factor in this. It says, others fall into the sandpit and begin acting like him, cold, ill-tempered, and conspiratorial. David knows that aliens are taking over the bodies of humans, but he'll soon discover there have been far more of these terrible thefts than he could have imagined. The young doommonger finds some serious help in a lady doctor and a brilliant astronomer. Soon they meet the aliens, green creatures with insect-like eyes. These beings prove to be slaves to their... I gotta make this bigger. There we go. These beings prove to be slaves to their leader, a large silent head with ceaselessly shifting eyes and 2 tentacles on either side. Watch out, Cone. Each of which branches off into 3 smaller tentacles.
Well, that's very specific.
I know. Very odd synopsis here. It's up to the redoubtable Earth trio to stop its evil plans.
I like how they call her a lady doctor.
I know.
You can tell this is 1953.
Yeah, you couldn't have just said doctor. Does it matter? Right.
It's one of them lady doctors.
Any spot there, does it matter what gender she is? Okay. But actually, the trailer I saw, the restoration for this looks amazing. The colors are like pop like crazy.
That's the story I had. So this was months and months ago. Actually, it was last year at some point. I was watching a Film Threat podcast live show, and they had the guy on that did this restoration for Invaders from Mars. So I got to see the interview live. Oh, and cool. It was amazing. The things they did to get this restoration. I mean, they had to travel all over the world finding different prints that they could combine to make the entire movie because there were so few surviving prints. So they were going all over the world to private collectors and getting different prints, and they might find one segment here, but this part was ruined, so they had to go find that part that was ruined in another country and put that all together. I mean, just the amount of care they took in restoring this film is just absolutely incredible. It almost
makes me want to buy it just for that, you know.
It was impressive. Like I don't really have any particular love for this movie. I've seen it before. It's not a great film. Kind of a cult classic, but it's not like a great movie. But just hearing the story of the restoration made me want to buy it. And I passed on it at the time because it was a little pricey, but they actually had this is the standard version that's coming out this week, but they had a collector's version that came out that you could pre-order that Jimmy Hunt, who's the kid in the movie, he's an older gentleman now, but he autographed it and everything. Oh, so that was really cool. I passed on it because it's a little too pricey for me, but now you get a chance to get the standard version, which is probably going to be much more reasonable.
And it's still got a lot of special features on it. It's got it's got interviews with star Jimmy Hunt, William Cameron Menzies, James Curtis, and Pamela Lawson. It's got a featurette with John Landis, Joe Dante, Mark Goldblatt, Robert Skotak, and Scott McQueen. It's got John Sayles' introduction at the TCM Festival in April of 2022. Before after clips of restoration, which is that's really cool because we were just discussing that as what makes this so cool is this restoration. So that's nice that you get to see what it looked like before and after. Restored segments in 2K, a gallery, and restored 1953 trailer, which is what I watched, and new 2022 trailer. So there's a lot of cool things on there. So this one is one of those releases where it's like it's really all about the not so much like just grabbing every special feature it can, but the focus special features, I think, what makes the film what it is. You know, the restoration process, the main people. There's not just a lot of, like, you know, because some of these things, we see them. There's, like, a million special features, and, like, you know you're never going to get to some of these because they're just, like, silly little, like, 5-minute segments. That really
like they're just doing it to buffer fill in the back of the box.
Yeah, but, like, this one seems like they really made sense to have, like, the good quality features that, like, basically the reason we want to buy it, and the features back it up by having it all about the restoration.
Yeah, I wish you could have seen this interview because the guy's passion for restoring this movie was just like, you could see it. I mean, in every word he had, he was just a complete, just pop. He reminded me a lot of David Weiner, that kind of pop culture, really? Just like passion. This guy had it in spades. So yeah, this would be my honorary pick of the week. I did not do it for my pick of the week because the one we have is like kind of a no-brainer. But this would be my honorary. I don't think you could go wrong with this one.
Yeah. Speaking of David Weiner, real quick, I know we don't do like a first job check segment, but he wrote a great article he posted to Twitter under his escape. Oh my God, I'm messing up his blog here. I want to get it right, the name of it, but he does. I think it came from blog. It came from. Oh, I had it right. Okay, it came from blog site where he wrote about everyone, like about his first movie theater where he saw all the movies that like kind of shaped his childhood from, and he said, he posted on Twitter. He said, anyone else have it as well? And of course, I've mentioned it before in the show. I've had many discussions. We kind of grew up in the same town over from each other, but we've hit a lot of the same haunts, so to speak. And so he was talking about a specific old, like one of those 99-cent movie theaters that would get the second run movies, and it was a really good article. So everyone should check that out, especially you like retro stuff. And kind of memories. That he has a good way of bringing back memories of things, because it was cool how he was talking about how he's dying to go see Aliens and his mother wouldn't take him and stuff. It's really fun. It's a really great article. See, his memory is insane because I think he lists every movie in order that he saw at this one theater. It's incredible. So wow, yeah, definitely check that article out. It's really good.
All right, next up we have Beneath the Old Dark House. This is from 2022, surprisingly. It sounds like a 30s film, but...
What Scream Team releasing, so if you look, they do a lot of those, like they're the ones behind the barn, you know, they said they do a lot of those, like retro kind of looking titles. It's cool.
Yeah. Scream Team releasing is responsible for this one, and the synopsis here is: a mysterious being known only as Coffin Tooth welcomes you to his creepy domain. It is in this lair that you must bear witness to 3 chilling tales of carnage, terror, and madness in Beneath the Old Dark House. Oh, I didn't know this was an anthology. Cool. This one, I didn't see any special features listed. That doesn't necessarily mean there aren't any. It just means there weren't any at the time I looked these up. So, as an ongoing disclaimer for all our dismemberments, if you hear us say no special features, that may or may not be true depending on how early they got the special features listed. Sometimes the special features aren't finalized until very late in the process.
Right, yeah, because there's some that they're like they might have, but they're waiting for rights.
Yeah.
This one does have Brink Stevens in it, which is cool.
Cool.
Of course, a horror scream queen icon there, but it's really wacky looking. But the one thing that bothered me is the trailer. It has one of these like voiceovers that it's just like, "Are you ready for the?" It's like one of those like really cliched voiceovers. I'm just like, oh, that's annoying.
Yeah.
Like just let the. Why'd you have to make that weird like voice like that? Just make a regular voice would have been fine to go through this trailer because it looks kind of weird and wacky on its own. So it wasn't necessary, basically. Just a little nitpick on my my part there. Nothing against the movie itself. The movie looks actually really cool, but anyway.
All right. So Brian, you got our pick of the week.
Oh, I do. And this was kind of a no-brainer, of course, because I'm sure everyone here has the remaining ones. The previous ones. And that is Scream 6 in 4K, and probably also in regular release that week. And that is, of course, from Paramount Pictures. In case you are been living in a bubble, here's the little synopsis here. 4 survivors of the Ghostface murders leave Woodsboro behind for a fresh start in New York City. However, they soon find themselves in a fight for their lives when a new killer embarks on a bloody rampage. And it's funny because so many people do that whole horror movie going to space as jumping the shark, but I think going to New York City could be starting to... It's got to be up there, too, in terms of when...
Although this one broke the mold on that. It actually is a really good...
Right, yeah, this one was
movie.
This one used the city to perfection, I thought. Like, they didn't go... They kind of fell out of the standard, like, traps that it is New York. Like, there's no sequence of Ghostface, like... chasing someone through Times Square, really, or running up the Empire State Building or something. There's none of that kind of like. They don't like it's New York, but they don't go like. There's not a lot of signature icons in New York. Just the thin space in between apartments with fire escapes and the gritty streets and.
It was
alleyways.
It's like when me and Olivia visited New York. We didn't do all the major tourist traps. Although we did go to Times Square, admittedly, but for the most part, we kind of stayed in the gritty underbelly.
Right, like Tim's getting pizzas at 2 a.m., from a place from like that, the pizza's been sitting there all day, but you don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly.
But this one actually has some decent features on it here. It's got an audio commentary. It didn't say who, but I'm sure it's probably the directors. What are they? Radio Silence, right? That's the guys.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's got Death Comes to the City featurette, The Faces of Death featurette, More Meta Than Meta featurette, Bloodbath at a Bodega featurette, that which was one of the one of the more iconic scenes that they showed in the trailer that really looked kind of cool, that kind of definitely got you excited for that movie. An Apartment to Die For featurette, and The Night Train to Terror featurette, and also one more, Theater of Blood. And for those who have seen the movie, you'll know what all those special features represent, all iconic sequences in the film. And I still, to me, I really like, I know some people, I saw some criticism of Scream 6, but I loved it. I thought that one was great. I thought the excitement of the city, actually, they used it, like I said earlier, they used it to well. They didn't, like, cliche it up with a lot of silly things, And, it definitely had one of the more kind of... I mean, yes, like on paper it kind of looks the same, but like actually in the presentation of it and how it continues, I thought the opening was very unique out of all the other Scream films. So
I thought it was
things you didn't see before necessarily. So,
and I watched Scream 5 right before, like I watched them back to back, And I like this so much more than Scream 5.
Yeah, I did too.
Not that I did dislike Scream 5. I liked it at the time, but I liked it. I like this one like heads and shoulders above Scream 5. I really did.
Well, you know what I think? I think you had to leave Woodsboro at this point. You know, I mean, I know you did technically in 3, right, where they were in LA, but still, you know, it's like there was still too many Woodsboro roots in it. And you know what? It was nice. You know, I'm kind of glad that like at some level, I know this is like blasphemy to some people, but I'm kind of glad Neve Campbell didn't come back. Her story's done. You know, it's like, you know, like I think they even made a Courtney Cox, right? Was it her that kind of made that meta joke? And they were like, didn't she? She's not coming. Didn't she have enough already? Didn't she deserve or something? She had some kind of line that was like a total wink to the audience. I mean, So yeah, I mean, you know, the thing is with these movies, you know, eventually, you know. Yeah, you kind of like almost like Star Wars. They take a legacy character out each time, you know. Remove one from the equation, you know. And this one, Courtney Cox was not in it at all. Sorry, not Courtney Cox. Neve Campbell wasn't in it at all, which was good.
That criticism though doesn't make any sense to me because people are like, "Oh, you got to have Neve Campbell back," but in the Friday the 13th movies, there was no through line for most of the characters. Nightmare on Elm Street, there was no through line for most of the characters.
Yeah, well, they would appear back every once in a while.
Once in a while. And I can understand, okay, well, Halloween, well, you got to have Jamie Lee Curtis. I guess you can make an argument for that. But not every series.
Halloween's more of an intimate. When Halloween works the best, they're more of an intimate movie. It's not like how many kills you can do so much. It's you want the right tension with Halloween. So that's a little different.
To me, I mean, there's been some franchises that there's a through line, and there's some that there's not. I don't know where this like criticism comes from that you have to have the same people come back every single time, or it just sucks. I mean, and there's been plenty of good franchises that don't have recurring characters.
Yeah, and I mean, especially if you think about it, you know, Scream, which is you know, walks that meta line all the time. They actually flat out tell you, you know, that like what like you know, like Jasmine Savoy Brown's, right? Is that Jasmine Savoy Brown? Is that her name? Or is it just Jasmine Savoy? Did I get it wrong?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, no, Jasmine Savoy Brown. Okay, I had it right. It's funny. Lately, I feel like I got to double check everything I say, because when you watch so many things and you're always doing the research, you may get names wrong. But yes, it was Jasmine Savoy Brown. You know, she's kind of like that, like explaining it to the audience constantly. Remember, this is a requel. This is a this. This is a that.
Exactly.
So she flat out's telling you, like, you know, like you have to get rid of, you know. So I mean, you know, for the criticism to do that, you're just like, I feel like you're just not quite getting all of what they want you to get with these Scream films. You know, they're gonna purposely do things like that to kind of tweak with you, because they're basically at all times. There's always this and what makes this franchise, I think, so unique and so popular at the same time. There's always that tongue-in-cheek element of it being a horror movie to almost being a parody of a horror movie.
Yeah, they're always self-aware.
Yeah, and so it's like, you know what? I think they, you know, to have this many sequels, to come back so many years later, and to come back with such a bang and to still be as popular as ever. That shows they're doing the right thing, regardless of the criticism. So,
all right. Well, let's recap. July 11th, we had Beau is Afraid from 2023, Invaders from Mars 4K from 1953, superb restoration on that. Beneath the Old Dark House, a new anthology from 2022, and our pick of the week, Scream 6 4K from 2023. July 18th is another very short week. We only had 2 releases this week. The first one up is The Last of Us Season 1. This is a series I never finished.
I know, I still am 2 episodes away. I just got stuck, but I love everything I've seen up until this point.
It's a great series. I just haven't gotten back to it. Joel and Ellie, a pair connected through the harshness of the world they live in, are forced to endure brutal circumstances and ruthless killers on a trek across post-pandemic America. This is, of course, based on the popular PlayStation series of games. And some good extras here. Stranger Than Fiction, Controllers Down, adapting The Last of Us, From Levels to Live Action, Getting to Know Me, which is 4 mini featurettes, The Last Debrief with Troy Baker, which is 2 featurettes, Inside the Episode, which is 9 featurettes, and Is This a The Last of Us line, 2 featurettes. So tons of featurettes on that disc.
Yeah, and this proves you can make a. I mean, I never played the video game myself. From what I understand, everyone says it's a really good adaptation for it.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, without even seeing the video game, I think it's just a great idea, and you know, it to begin. And I love how they're not afraid to kind of, like, you know, by making it a series and not a movie. You know, they're very bold in wanting to tell the story and not always pack it with action. Like, you don't always need tons of action in these type of stories, and this proves it. This is a great example of just, if you write good stories and good dialogue and cast it well, you could have really slow movements to a story and over the overarching story without it being boring. And this series is never boring.
Yeah.
And there's times when they're just literally walking and talking, and I guess that's a testament to the writing, the dialogue, and the performances of the leads in this. I mean, it's just, Pedro Pascal, come on, you could put him in anything and you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So it's really not much more you could say about him that hasn't been said. He's that good. So
he is the it man right now, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll just watch him in anything. And so that brings us to our pick of the week, which this one is, I think this deserves pick of the week just because it's long overdue for it coming out, considering when it originally came out. Usually Shudder is much faster on their releases of this. Mm-hmm. This is from Marginal Entertainment, of course, Shudder's release, and that's Deadstream from 2022. I feel like usually when Shudder releases it, it's like towards that same year, but I guess kind of came out later. Maybe that's why later in the year. But either way, this one, if you haven't seen it yet, it's great Shudder original. It's a disgraced internet personality attempts to win back his followers by live streaming one night alone in a haunted house. But when he accidentally pisses off a vengeful spirit, his big comeback event becomes a real-time fight for his life. And I think the zaniness of this makes this movie is that the lead character is almost like a Bert Kreischer thrown into like
very much so.
Like he's just kind of like like a little slovenly like dressed guy, and he's like borderline, like, you kind of like him, but he also irritates you a little bit, but the likeness just is enough to keep you over, because he's so entertaining. And it's like it's like you're like rooting for him and against him simultaneously.
Which doesn't that sum up like almost every internet personality?
There's
does. Always like you like them, but you also kind of hate them in a way.
Yeah, because most people fall into the same trap with these internet, and I get why. It's hard to when there's so many, in the YouTube generation, there's whatever idea you want to put out on YouTube, there's probably at least already 500 of the same. Yeah. And so when you watch a lot of them, sometimes it's really difficult. I have a few of my favorites that I like, and I don't know what it is about them, but they do something that obviously just basically doesn't irritate me, I guess is what it is. But there's also some that you just can see hey, I'm here I am I'm at Disney World, and I'm going to try the new Mickey Mouse pair of pants cake, and it's like, and and they'll take a bite out of it, and it's the same signature thing. I think it's the ones I like they obviously they're going to do the same thing, but there's something about their personality, I think, that just is not as overbearing as those, maybe it's that, what I tend to think? I think it's the ones that are slightly awkward. And I think that's what I like, because I feel like, okay, you know what? That I might just literally be them now. There's no phoniness.
Yeah, because I recently watched, there was this big article in the news because some YouTubers that were like travel blogger YouTubers that were really big. I never heard of them, but I don't follow those travel bloggers. But they had come to Wilmington and visited, so there was a whole video about them coming to Wilmington. So I watched it, and it was just so I found it so annoying because they were the type that was very, for lack of a better word, just kind of snobby acting, and they're like, oh, let me go to this dinner, and I thought the appetizer was a little dry, but blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it just rubbed me the wrong way.
You wanted to send them to the restaurant in the menu, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm thinking, come on. I've lived here all my life. I've never even heard of the places you're going to. I don't know where you even came up with these places. And so it's, I don't know. Sometimes those, I am 100% agreement. I like the people that are genuinely themselves and are not putting on a show for other people.
Yeah. Well, see, that's why I like that one that we follow, Crystal Palace. We interact with her, and she does Universal, YouTube, but she also does a lot of stuff. She'll do other little trips, and she goes to hockey games, and she'll just post, and she's from New York, so maybe I have that New York connection. Maybe that's what I like about, but she's also super friendly, and you send her things, she'll write back. She has no kind of that snootiness that you say, she's just I could tell, it just seems like it's just her going out there, and she loves doing what she's doing. And and there's some other ones I can't remember off the top of my head that we follow that we like. Some of the food ones I like. But like, you know,
I mean, there's plenty of great ones out there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to bash it because I know it's hard work. It is a lot of work, and most of the time, you know, these people that are getting all these big like freebies and stuff, it takes years before you get that. So you're spending a lot of money and a lot of your own time to really get yourself as a brand. So I it's not that I don't respect what these people do. I do. They do. I just have a certain style that I can tolerate.
Yes.
And it's probably maybe it's more me than it's them, you know. It's like, but like the ones I like and the ones I follow and the ones I like that like will interact with you back if you send them a thing, you know. And
well, I mean, the snobby ones is a thing because you see it parodied. We've seen it parodied in movies, like in a lot of horror movies. Like
what was the one? Oh God,
Sissy
and Superhost. You know, it's like
Superhost, Sissy, all those like parody those influencer types. So yeah. But anyway,
what was that one we just watched that we all watched that was really good? Oh shoot, the one where the girl goes to she goes to like some country and they steal her passport, so she's stuck there and she remember all of us watched it just recently. It's funny, it's got the same girl in it that's in Superhost, plays a character in it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, now
I'm just completely forgetting it. And it's the one we all liked a lot. Or when I mean all of us like, that's our group of our like your group of, you know, you, me,
the core four.
Ken, Emily. Yeah. And Emily too. She's jumped into the core four. Oh, Influencer. That's what it's called.
Influencer, yeah.
Yeah, which is a Shudder one, and it's actually really you know what it is? It's so different than I thought. It started off like you would think it was going to be one of those typical things, but it went to whole other levels, and I was like, oh, okay. I like where this is going, and I thought that one was really a fun one. It was pretty cool. You found out rooting for characters you didn't think you'd root for in the beginning, so that one's a good one too. But anyway, as our little sidetrack, we'll get back on track here though. But watch. So Deadstream doesn't have any special features on it quite yet. They usually add a couple to it in the Shudder thing, but that's a great one to watch. If you don't, you can watch it right now. It's on Shudder, and that's a really fun one. I think that one was a big Shudder hit.
I haven't heard anybody that didn't like it.
Right, yeah. I haven't heard one negative about it, which is pretty impressive in the horror community.
Yeah. So. All right, so July 18th, there's a quick recap. Last of Us Season 1 and our pick of the week, Deadstream from last year. And the last week is a big one. This is where they saved all their July releases. So first up, we have the Boogeyman 4K. This is the week of July 25th, which is my brother's birthday, by the way. He's got that's always a busy week because I got Olivia's birthday, my brother's birthday, and my buddy's birthday. So
you got the cluster.
It's all clustered up. The Boogeyman 4K from Vinegar Syndrome. They're going to have 3 releases this week. Willie and Lacey face off with a boogeyman from their past, their mother's abusive boyfriend whose spirit lives on in the mirror that witnessed his murder. This is the Boogeyman from 1980.
Right, which I remember we watched this. We had such a fun time because at my sleepaway camp, they used to have outdoor movies. Nights.
That's fun, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, we saw a lot of cool ones, and I was impressed that they showed this one. I mean, this was an 80s horror movie that they managed to show, I think, one night, and like out to, you know, and it was, you know, it had enough that it was surprisingly shown at a camp with all age groups, but it's kind of fun because they used to put it on the lawn and everyone would get out. You get to go to the canteen before, grab a bunch of snacks, and then go out and hang out. And this one, there was a sequence that was like, you know, typical, you know, cheap effect thing in the 80s. And I remember we were already laughing at it, but overall it was a pretty solid 80s horror movie. And so I used to watch it too when it came on cable years later, but it's definitely a fun one.
Nice.
And yeah, there's no special features for you, right?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Okay.
There's no special features on that one.
Yeah. Next one, this one is called Night Screams 4K in 4K. This was from 1987. I don't even remember remotely this movie, but it's a football star throws a party for his friends. 2 insane killers escape from a nearby asylum on that same night, and in their efforts to elude authorities, wind up at the party. I wrote this movie is so 80s you could wear this movie as leg warmers. It just looks like so 80s. One of the Cobra Kai guys was in it. One of the ones, I think it was the I forgot his name in the movie, but one of the Cobra Kai members from the original Karate Kid you could see in there.
Oh, nice.
And this one looks like this was just trying to You remember? Okay, so you know, like 80s horror film we love, near and dear to our heart. A lot of them have that same quality to them a little bit, like where you could tell when one was trying to be the next Friday the 13th. Let's say.
Yeah, for sure.
That's one of these. It's like this one was trying to be one of those, like So, but I mean, doesn't mean it's bad. I have just never saw it, and it's weird that there was a movie, an 80s horror film, like a slasher type movie that I don't recall even remotely, which is kind of unusual. But
which means I need to track that one down for sure.
Yeah, I know. We need to see it.
We're skipping over the pick of the week here and going straight to Swamp Thing 4K from 1982. Deep in the Florida Everglades, a brilliant scientist, Dr. Alec Holland, and a sexy government agent, Alice Cable, have developed a secret formula that could end world hunger. Little do they know, however, that their arch nemesis Arcane is plotting to steal the serum for his own selfish schemes. Looting the lab and kidnapping Cable, Arcane douses Holland with the chemicals and leaves him for dead. Mutated by his own formula, Holland becomes Swamp Thing, a half-human, half-plant superhero who will stop at nothing to rescue Cable and defeat Arcane, even if it costs him his life. This one has a ton of features here. New 16-bit 4K restoration of both the theatrical and unrated cuts. Audio commentary with Wes Craven, moderated by Sean Clark, and audio commentary with William Munn, moderated by Michael Fleischer. Tales from the Swamp featurette, Hey Jude featurette, Swamp Thing featurette, Swamp Screen designing DC's main monster featurette, From Krug to Comics, How the Mainstream Shaped a Radical Genre Voice featurette, photo galleries, and theatrical trailers. So that's a packed disc if you're a fan of Swamp Thing, which I have not seen that movie in so long.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely due for a rewatch there.
Plus, it's classic vintage Adrian Barbeau in there.
Yes.
Next one is another kind of movie just being re-released in 4K, and that's World War Z. I know that's one of those polarizing ones. Some people love it, some people hate it. I think it's the fans' right it was a book first, right? I think fans of the book didn't like this.
Yeah, the book is so different. I mean, the book is basically, and I read the book, is different, almost like diary entries from various characters all across the world as the zombie apocalypse is going on. Whereas the movie is like a narrative following one person. So it's a completely, I mean, it's almost like an unrecognizable adaptation.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And the script of the synopsis here says, former United Nations investigator travels the world trying to stop the outbreak of a deadly zombie pandemic. So, of course, this was like one of these like modern days where they used a million different special effects to make it look like there's billions of zombies coming after you.
Yeah.
So it's in that generation of zombie films. And, of course, there was that famous sequence on the plane and then the wall, the whole thing.
The climbing zombies thing.
So.
Yeah. Next up is Effects 4K from 1980. This is by AGFA. And this is another one I had not heard of. Some crew members of a company shooting a horror film begin to suspect that the killings in the movie are real and that they are actually making a snuff film. I've seen this premise done before and some other things more recently. This one has a 4K restoration, archival commentary with John Harrison, Dusty Nelson, and Pasquale Buba?
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. 4K Grindhouse preservation. I'm curious what that is. Zoom Q&A with John Harrison, Dusty Nelson, and the AGFA team. After Effects documentary with commentary, early short films, photo gallery, and a booklet.
Yeah, I remember vaguely seeing that. Like, there's one of these like faint memories when I saw the trailer. I'm like, I think I might have seen this years ago. Like early on, like I have a feeling this might have been on like the movie channel back in the day because they were the ones that got these kind of ones, and HBO would kind of get the more, like known horror movie, 80s horror movies, and I kind of remember this, like seeing, like almost even seeing the commercials for this one and stuff. So, but yeah, I definitely want to check it out. It's got Tom Savini in it. They actually sprung for Savini, not Salvini. So.
Oh, they had a big budget then.
Yeah, so this was, he was a little cheaper back then, but but still, yeah. Next one is another 4K re-release, and that's Needful Things from 1993, and that's from Kino Lorber. Welcome to Castle Rock, Maine, a lovely place to live if you don't mind selling your soul and running into every other Stephen King character. No,
yes.
Sheriff Alan Pangborn has a devil of a problem. Suddenly, all the residents of his sleepy little town are dying to kill each other. But at least business is still booming, especially at the new antique store. The store's owner has something for everyone, and his prices are always reasonable. Just one small favor. Oh, and of course, eternal damnation. This one's a brand new 4K restoration of the theatrical and TV cuts and audio commentary with director Fraser C. Heston, moderated by Walt Olson. What is this, the moderation month?
Yeah,
like
I guess.
Moderated. Interview with screenwriter W.D. Richter and theatrical trailer.
Yeah, I actually like this one because I had a really soft spot for the book. Because Needful Things was one of the... I just remember it was one of the books I read. I don't remember when the book came out, but it was one of the books I read that I remember like going and buying like the hardcover first edition the day it came out kind of thing, because I was like really into Stephen King, and that was a new Stephen King book and I have to get it. And I still have my copy of the original one that I bought when it first came out day one. So I kind of always had a soft spot for that book. So, and the movie was a pretty decent adaptation. So,
and this was TV first, right?
I don't remember. Maybe it was.
I thought this was a mini. Did this come out on mini theaters?
Look it up real quick while we're.
But I know this was also a lot of people can, because the Needful Things, Stranger Things, they kind of have the link together, kind of with the wording. So. Yeah,
it doesn't say on here. I don't remember.
Something about a TV cut of it.
Yeah, there is. The TBS network aired a 187-minute extended edition in 1996. Oh, that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So it came out later as an extended edition TV.
Okay. So that's good. Though you get both, I think, on here, because it says you get the theatrical and TV cuts. Okay, so that's good. So I had it backwards. It went TV second. Okay. That's
which is kind of interesting that you have a longer version for TV. That's
usually they
quite
do it
unusual.
The other way sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, do I have the next one? You have the next one. Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Okay. So the next one up is another weird month for old sci-fi horror movies. Robot Monster 3D from 1953. This one's being put out by Bayview Entertainment. 1953. Okay. Following a devastating nuclear war, Roman, a sex-starved robot monster dressed in a gorilla suit and diving helmet. Oh, we know this one. We know this one. That's the scene that's using... all those my gosh, that's been knocked off in so many movies and TV shows, this movie. Because of the gorilla suit with the diving helmet thing has destroyed all of humanity with the exception of a small band of survivors. It's up to these last brave souls to repopulate the human race and destroy the mighty Roman and his commander of the Great Guidance. Note, the petulant primate communicates with its home planet by talking to a bubble blowing machine.
I'm glad that was added on at the last.
So this is the movie where the gorilla and the diving suit thing came from.
Kind of makes me want to get it now.
I know it's one of those like Plan 9 from Outer Space is like one of those cheesy so bad it's become part of pop culture type things.
Of course, Tim and I are still holding hope for a full theatrical version of Serial Apist.
Yes, Serial Apist.
We'll see if that ever happens. Next one, another 1950s sci-fi horror classic, possibly the 1950s.
Yeah, this would be my pick of the best one of the bunch.
Yeah, if there's going to be a V, it's this one. And that is The War of the Worlds in 4K. I remember watching this in my school, in like elementary school. My teacher showed us this.
Oh, nice.
It's really cool. Because I think we read the book too. Anyway, it says, Paramount Pictures says, a mysterious object has landed in a small California town. The Martian invasion of Earth has begun. And, there's that iconic ship with the little thing that comes out with the neck. And that's that's one of the most iconic images from cinema that they show all the time. You see it in every kind of most horror, like classic horror sci-fi documentaries have this in there, and it's inspired a lot, and so that's definitely a classic. I do have the a regular version. I'd like to see what this looks like though if restored to 4K.
4K,
really nice. A lot of green in this from the lasers and stuff like that, so it'd be kind of interesting.
Next up is My Best Friend is a Vampire from 1987. This is being put out by Lionsgate. Young student finds himself being transformed to a vampire after a night with a quite attractive female vampire. First, he does not quite believe it himself. This is an awkwardly written synopsis, sorry.
From famousfix.com. My best friend is a vampire.
Alexa, stop. Alexa's interrupting the podcast.
Yeah, I know.
Leaving that in there just to show how annoying she is.
She wants to be in the... It's because you left her out of the round table, that's why.
That must be stupid AI.
I know.
At first, he does not quite believe it himself, but with the help of a 300-year-old teacher in the handbook Vampirism, a guide to an alternative lifestyle, he finds out that blood does not taste as bad as he expected. Of course, he does not bite women. As a good guy, he sticks to pig blood, which is offered by the local butcher as a special offer for vampires. Trouble rises when a vampire hunter tries to track him down with wooden sticks and silver bullets. This one has an audio commentary with director Jimmy Houston and film historian Nathaniel Thompson, which we know from from previous entries.
We already have him. So
yeah.
Yeah, that's almost, it's funny. It's almost kind of like True Blood, years before True Blood.
Exactly,
really,
yeah. I was
they're
just
kind of
thinking
like
that.
have something for the vampires out there.
Yeah. A most alternative lifestyle interview with Tab Murphy and Ken Aguado, interview with Paul Wilson, theatrical and teaser trailers, and a still gallery.
Yes. Okay. So the next one we have is Resident Evil Death Island in 4K 2023 from Sony Pictures, and this is along the animated one. This is computer generated Resident Evils, which actually are pretty good.
I haven't seen them yet, but I want to see them.
Yeah, I remember the first two I watched for sure. I have them all so far, but the first two I remember were really solid. So it's DSO agent Leon S. Kennedy, of course, from the classic video games, is on a mission to rescue Dr. Antonio Taylor from kidnappers when a mysterious woman thwarts his pursuit. Meanwhile, BSAA agent Chris Redfield, another classic character from the video games, is investigating a zombie outbreak in San Francisco where the cause of infection cannot be identified. The only thing the victims have in common is that they all visited Alcatraz Island recently. Following that clue, Chris and his team head to the island where a new horror awaits them. So that's cool. It's like a premise. Think about that. It's Resident Evil meets like Alcatraz. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's kind of a cool twist on it. Actually, I kind of like to see that as a live action movie. I think that'd be kind of fun. But anyway, so this got actually a couple of obviously that's going to be the Death Island. So there's a couple special features on here. It's got Genesis of Death Island. And then a feature called Jill Valentine, The Return. Of course, she's another famous, very popular character from the series. Motion Capture Set Tour. So that's cool. So I guess that's how because these are computer graphic generated movies, I should say. I said animated, but I mean, it's some form of animation. But it's got Designing Death Island featurette, Voicing Death Island featurette, The Birth of Death Island featurette, and a design gallery.
Yeah, I want to see this one.
And it actually looks really good. The trailer for this looks really cool. I'm actually looking forward to seeing this.
Next up, we have a documentary that we've talked about before, Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares, the Robert Englund story, which came out last year. This one's being put out by Cinedigm. A classically trained actor and director, Robert Englund has become one of the most revolutionary horror icons of our generation. Throughout his career, Englund starred in many well-known movies, but shot to superstardom with his portrayal of supernatural serial killer Freddy Krueger in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. This unique and intimate portrait captures the man behind the glove and features interviews with Englund and his wife Nancy, Lynn Shay, Eli Roth, Tony Todd, Heather Langenkamp, and more. This one has a conversation with the directors, a peek behind the curtain, Dance Macabre, Nightmare Cafe with Jack Coleman, Robert English Chatterbox. I guess they have a feature about how much he's known for being a talker. Horror icons and official trailer.
Yeah, this one makes me a little nervous only because by the same creators that did that Pennywise doc, which was a little disappointing.
Yeah. I've heard good things about this one, though. So
but yeah, this one looked great. And it's on Screenbox now, I believe, already. If you want to check it out. I still want to see it. I mean, maybe because I have more interest in Robert Englund, too, than I did Pennywise. So it might be a little bit more entertaining just for that factor. And what I think is interesting about this is, like, this is a cool... Because this is a guy that's played... Even like, I mean, if you think about it, yes, eventually he was replaced in a perhaps one of the most polarizing remakes of all time. But if you think about it, even Kane Hodder, who's known as Jason, only played him in 4 films? So it's like, and so this is a guy that basically took this character and, was the character. Like, you don't associate him with that, as a different... anyone else playing him, really. I mean, yes, Jack Earl Haley did a decent job in what he was given, but, I mean, Robert Englund is Freddy Krueger. I mean, think about it. Like, the closest thing, I think, with someone who played that role as many times is probably, I guess, Doug Bradley as Pinhead until he was finally replaced years later. But most of the time, that villain is replaced. I mean... Gunnar Hansen did 1, right? I mean,
and I mean, Kane Hodder.
Brad Dourif, I guess, for the voice of Chucky.
Brad Dourif.
He might be the closest thing.
But those are kind of, I was about to say the same thing about Kane Hodder, but then again, he's behind a mask. But even though a lot of people, there's big fans of his portrayal of Jason.
Oh no, he revolutionized the Jason. I think that people remember the most, right? By the head tilt. The way he walked, the way his motions, he definitely revolutionized the way Jason moved, and he's probably the one people remember the most, his style of Jason.
Yeah.
But But yeah, so I'm definitely introduced. Next one is Graveyard Alive, and this is from 2003, but from ETR Media, which is a new one, and this is done totally in like this old black and white style, but it's modernized. Obviously, just kind of reminds me of like what they did with the Love Witch. You know how they made something like current, but like made it look retro. And this is a shy nurse is bitten by a zombie and becomes a flesh-eating sex kitten. So, and this is actually, it's we know the people that are behind this. It's Elza Kephart and Patricia Gomez as Latar, who we had on for a Slacks. They were behind Slacks.
Cool. Okay.
So they were really cool to talk to. They do a really good job. So I'm actually really want to see this because if they, Slacks was highly enjoyable and it way more than it had any right to be.
Yes.
And so if they're behind it, automatically I'm like in because I want to see what they did with this. And they do the special features. They do have an audio commentary with Elza Kephart and Patricia Gomez Latar, and also producer Andrea Stark. So that's right there is like 3 female filmmakers. Nice to see,
Mm-hmm.
Whole big thing behind them. Behind this movie is all 3 female filmmakers. So I'm very excited to hear that. And a booklet comes with. So, but still, if they did half as good of a job they did on on Slacks, this is going to be pretty good. So
next up is Dark Nature from 2022. This is from Epic Pictures. While recovering from an abusive relationship, Joy joins her friend's therapy group on an isolated mountainous retreat. Led by a doctor with experimental methods, the group is soon forced to confront a monstrous entity. This one has a deleted scene, short film, Peanut Butter Pals, and the Secret of the Cave Mountain Cave, which sounds interesting.
Sounds like something like at Silver Dollar City.
Yeah. That sounds like a ride at Silver Dollar City. Ghost Keeper's music video, official trailer, and Dread trailers. And so this one looks pretty interesting. I haven't... Brian, from what Brian's told me, I haven't seen the trailer yet because I got into this late. But Brian said it looks pretty decent.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I mean, it's it's definitely more the modernized modern horror film look that we're used to. So I'm interested to see how it comes out. But we'll see.
Now the pick of the week, I'll give you a brief explanation of this one. We picked this one because I picked it, and Brian kind of followed my lead because it's 70s horror, and I love my 70s horror. I really like foreign 70s horror to the Italian films, the Spanish films. So this one is along that line. Although, typically when we pick our pick of the week, we're looking for something with a ton of extras and everything. We didn't have any extras outlined for this one when I was putting together the rundown. I believe, this being Vinegar Syndrome, I find it extremely hard to believe there's not going to be packed with extras on this disc. So please, if you're interested in this title, go look it up and see what kind of extras are on there, because I have to believe Vinegar Syndrome is going to list extras for this. I can't believe they're going to release it bare bones. So even though we're not giving you those extras, definitely look this one up before you buy.
Yes, I agree.
But I'll let you go for it, Brian.
Oh, this is mine?
Yeah, that's yours, yep.
Ah, yes, it is. Okay, Villages of the Dams, 3 horrors from Spain, 1970 to 1979. It basically just says it includes The Forest of the Wolf, Beatrice, and The Sky is Falling. And
that's all we know. Which is like the most bare bones pick of the week I think I've ever done. But I just 3 unknown Spanish horror movies. I'm sold. I don't care.
Yeah. And I was trying to look it up as you were giving the preface to see if they added special features yet, but I have not found anything yet. So.
Yeah, I would actually went to the Vinegar Syndrome site, which is usually where you can always go to see everything listed. I didn't see anything, so I don't know. Maybe if it does come out with no special features, that'll be a first from Vinegar Syndrome, because they're usually like, at least these kind of like box sets are usually packed with stuff. So I'd be surprised. Yeah. But let me recap this real quick. So the week of July 25th, we had The Boogeyman 4K from 1980, Night Screams 4K 1987, Original Swamp Thing 4K from 1982, World War Z 4K from 2013, Effects 4K from 1980, Needful Things 4K from 93. Robot Monster 3D from 1953, The World of the Worlds 4K 1953, My Best Friend is a Vampire from 87, Resident Evil Death Island 4K from 2023, Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares, the Robert Englund story from last year, Graveyard Alive from 2003, and Dark Nature from 2022. Our pick of the week is a box set from Vinegar Syndrome, Villages of the Damned, 3 horrors from Spain, 1970 and 1979, which includes The Forest of the Wolf, Beatrice, and The Sky is Falling. And that is it for July.
Yes.
We will be back next month with our August picks. I hope you guys are enjoying the summer slaycation, which we're kind of in the middle of right now. We got more critters coming, and then we'll have 2 more mystery titles that we will be teasing on social media. So be sure to check our Twitter to get involved in that contest, because we got some prizes to give out if you're the first to guess what our summer slaycation title
we owe
is
David
be.
McHugh too already.
Yeah. David McHugh's been on point.
Yeah, and then we'll have we might have some, because we want to give it. We have 5 of that one prize we're giving him the first time. We don't want to give him 2 of the same one, so we'll have to figure out something extra for him on his second win. So that means there's 4 left, and obviously only 2 slaycations left. But I have some other ideas, Tim. I haven't even bring this up to you yet. Another couple of ideas on how possibly we could give away those. It involves our special bonus slaycation kind of thing we were discussing.
Nice.
So there's always that. We have extra. And we should say, too, there may be another couple of, at least another possible break in between. It wouldn't be for more than 1 week, I don't think. I can't really announce it yet because I'm not sure of when it will be, but we'll keep you posted. Always keep posts to our pay attention to our social media, because we always will. Even if it's the night before, we usually let you know if something's not coming out.
Yeah. I try to be. We try to put out some content every week. If we can't, I try to definitely let you guys know. So that
we also need to figure out. Yeah, we also need to figure out, because we have a really cool roundtable in the works we've never done before. So with some people we've never done before, really.
Yeah.
In that capacity, at least.
So that'll be cool.
But so we need to get that on the boards. We have some other exciting surprises coming up. Eventually, we will try and get our merch store with the new logo up and going. But that's, unfortunately, there was a problem with transferring the logo over into other formats right now that we're trying to work out. Some kind of weird glitch in it. We can't figure out why it's causing it, but we're working on that. So soon, if you do like our new logo, you'll be able to get so Cody can replace her shower curtain.
Yes,
probably
exactly.
how you can't keep a shower curtain for more than a couple of years anyway without it getting mold.
So we need to figure out how to do pillowcases, bedspreads. Like, you need to have your whole room covered in the new logo.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to make a Tim in that Jeff Goldblum lying pose from. We want that merch out there,
Yeah.
So you can listen to Tim's dulcet tones while looking at him lounging for you on in an open shirt. Yeah.
Nobody wants to see that. Trust me. Definitely don't want to pay money for it.
You're in shape. You run. Look at me, man.
No. I've gotten out of shape. I had too many hamburgers yesterday, so
I know I had a double cheeseburger yesterday. I was
I'm definitely not,
and a hot dog and beans and the whole thing. I had this last couple of weeks I've been just eating terrible.
Well, Olivia makes the best mac and cheese ever, and it just kills me every time she makes mac and cheese. I gain 5 pounds. It's just automatic. I'm like, oh well, I guess I'm just gaining 5 pounds now.
Yeah, and mac and cheese is one of those foods that no matter what, if it's there, you have to eat it.
You have to.
It's like if it's required. A buffet. I always make sure at least I take a scoop.
You have to. It's required. And then Olivia's she's like perfected it. Now I'm like, I can't not have that if you're going to make it. So
yeah.
Anyway, but we will see you guys back here next month for our Discmemberment. We'll see you back here soon. Keep an eye on our social media for when our next second half of our Critters episode drops. And we'll see you soon.
See ya.